Hello.
Welcome.
Hey.
Y'all are a little bit early, so I'll wait till more people get in, and then we'll start today's lesson. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hey.
Hello.
So the 7.4 homework was due yesterday. Looks like we still have people coming in. I'll wait a little bit longer. We have the 7.4 homework that was due yesterday, but y'all should know that the mid-chapter quiz will be on Monday. And so today for the warm-up, really all I have for you is I'm going to talk a little bit about how the tests and quizzes are going to be moving forward. And that's what today's warm-up is going to be. In a moment, I'm going to post a sample version of what these tests and quizzes will look like to Google Classroom, and we'll talk about how we'll be testing in these trying times. And then we're also going to, of course, do our standard breakdown of what's on Monday's quiz. For the quiz, you can have one 3x5 card worth of notes, and I do expect y'all to be honest and put your other stuff away. Though to be real with you, doesn't really help that much. I always find that when I'm allowed to bring in an entire textbook to a test, it ends up being a distraction more than an asset. If you can do the stuff, you can do the stuff. If you can't do the stuff, having resources open to you while you take it just isn't that useful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show y'all the, yeah, I'll make it live now. I think we have almost everybody. We're only missing 2 more. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make it live, and here it is. Everybody's on Google Classroom?
I need to go in right now.
Yeah, so make sure that you have the Google Classroom open. And here is the general form that the tests and quizzes that we'll be doing will take every time. Notice in the post I just made that there are 2 separate parts to it. There is the first part, which is a Google form quiz. So you'll have to log into your school email account in order to have it submit properly. And when you click it, you're going to find on there I built 2 questions for you. The first one is free response. So the question and the diagram are both given. Do the work on a separate piece of paper, and then once you've solved it, you'll be able to type in the answer. And then the second one, y'all see that? Is it open?
Yeah.
Lance the alien is 5 feet tall and casts an 8-foot shadow at the same time of day. A tree casts a 32-foot shadow. How tall is the tree? Yeah, so for that one, you know, solve it out for the height of the tree, and then that one is multiple choice. Pick it and then click submit. The second thing that I posted on there, and this will be true of all of our quizzes, part of it will be on Google Forms so that, you know, I can easily do the multiple choice grading. And I will also be posting a PDF with free response questions on there. We'll probably do half and half, 10 questions through Google Forms and then 10 questions of free response through PDF. So that PDF that I posted to y'all is some multiple choice questions from the quiz that I won't be using. I just, you know, wanted y'all to have some additional review. I don't want to give assignments out of the book because I'm not sure who did and didn't take their textbooks home. So that second sheet is going to become homework, right? But whenever we do quizzes, it's going to have 2 parts. First part is going to be quiz questions asked through a Google form. And then the second part will be questions that I build into a PDF that you will have to do free response answers to and then respond.
Is there supposed to be like a question we can solve up there?
Huh?
Is there supposed to be a question we can solve on your screen?
No.
Oh, okay.
Go to Google Classroom and look at my most recent posting. And it'll be on there as a Google form. Answer those 2 questions, and then after I get the responses in, we'll go over them together.
Wait, Miss, what does number 2 say? Does that say what's on Mon? What does that say?
Monday's quiz.
Oh,
What's on
okay.
Monday's quiz? Wait, Mr. Robinson, so is the test going to be multiple choice like this?
No, it won't. I just wanted to give you all some questions from the test bank that I won't use. The multiple choice questions that I have will all be on Google
Oh.
Forms, and then the free response questions will be a PDF, and they'll look exactly like all of the other tests that I write for y'all, except it'll be a little bit shorter so that you have time for both the computer-based part on Google Quiz and also the free response part on that PDF.
Okay, thank you.
And when you turn the work in, I expect you to turn in all of the scratch work you did. So that includes the scratch work that you do when you answer the Google Forms quiz.
So the worksheet you posted is due tomorrow night?
I'll make it just due Sunday night so that you have until before the quiz to work on it. But it's all the work that I have live for you right now, right? So this hour is going to be your time to work on those questions. And if you have any questions on that stuff, we'll go over it. I already got 2 responses coming in on the quiz.
Wait, where do we have to respond? Is it on Google Classroom?
Yes,
Yeah.
Under where?
right on the front.
Oh, this thing. Oh, okay.
There is a link to a Google form and there is a link to a PDF. Both parts of those are the mid-chapter review. Oh, also on top of that, when we do quizzes, I expect everybody to be on Zoom so that if you have any questions, you can ask them to me live while y'all
I
take
was
it.
going to ask that.
So we have a mid-chapter quiz Monday?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, we're allowed to have like stuff by us?
Yep, because I can't stop it. And again, I think if you know how to do the stuff, you know how to do the stuff. And if you don't, having those resources out won't help anyway. You'll find that when you go to college, you have a lot of take-home midterms. And I've always found that to be true on those take-home midterms, the ones that I didn't study for beforehand, being at home, having access to the internet, didn't actually help that much.
Hmm.
And then the other thing that you posted that was like the classwork, that's our do nows, right?
So us talking about this is the do now, and the do now is actually the Google quiz part. So I want everybody to do that, and we won't move along until I have all 16 of them in. Then we'll go over those 2 questions. The mid-chapter review, that multiple choice PDF that I posted, that's going to become homework if you don't finish it this hour. But it's a good look at the types of questions that I'll be asking you. Just know that they won't be multiple choice like that. They'll be free response on that PDF. And then the other thing that we're going to do today after I go over those 2 questions from the Google form quiz is what types of topics you should expect on Monday's mid-chapter quiz.
If we don't get how to do one of the do now questions, what should we do? Like write?
Do it, and then hit submit, and then we'll go over it once I have all 16 responses.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'm making an assignment right now, which is just a homework assignment. And when you finish the questions on that PDF that I posted, there's a place for you to submit that as a homework assignment in Google Classroom.
Mr. Robinson.
Yep.
You want us to print out that paper and take a picture of it?
You don't have to print it out, and this is going to be true for all the tests moving forward, because I know that not everybody has access to a printer, or if we're printing every single assignment, y'all might like run out of paper or ink at an inconvenient time. For all of this stuff, you can always just work it out on a separate piece of paper, but make sure to lay your work out clearly. So
Okay.
Title it with what the assignment is, put the numbers and the work, and you only have to upload that.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good question. Okay. So the Google Classroom assignment for that mid-chapter review, that sample quiz that I gave y'all, that's up. So when you're done with that part, you can upload it there, and then let me see how we're doing in terms of that Google quiz. I got 6 responses in.
How do we write a fraction on like typing?
with a slash.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Mr. Robinson, I saw you you posted the do now for quarter 4. Should we submit that today?
Yeah, and I'll talk about that, yeah, when we're done. So there's no class tomorrow because tomorrow, even before we went into emergency mode, was going to be an all staff teachers meeting. So there's no class tomorrow because instead of being on Zoom with you guys, we're going to be on Zoom with each other talking about how teaching from home is going. So this is the last warm up for the week. And instead of collecting the warm-ups in person and then stamping them and giving them back to y'all, each week I'm just going to make an assignment spot on the last day of the week for you to turn in the week's warm-ups. Any questions there?
No, I'm turning it in right now.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
Mr. Robinson, I messed up on the do now, so can I just submit another response? I know my mistake. It was stupid.
You don't have to. Like I said, the point of this isn't because I'm going to grade it like a quiz. I just want y'all to be familiar with the format.
Yeah, I know.
And big warning to 2 of y'all who submitted responses to that Google Form quiz. 2 of y'all submitted it with an anonymous email, which means if you did that on the actual test, you don't get a grade. I asked y'all when you do this, sign in to your school email account so that it associates it with that. Otherwise, you get no grade.
Wait, Mr. Robinson, is mine there?
Who? Yes. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Wait, how do
Good.
I know if I submitted with my email or not?
You did. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, did I do with my email?
Yes, you did. I have your email account. Yep. It's pretty easy though, because when you're on the Google form page, right? If you look at the very top of the window, it should say in the top right corner if you're logged in or not, because it'll have your profile picture or not. If you fill this out without being signed in, it won't associate it to an email. And actually, you know, to avoid that in the future, to make it easy, I'll probably just make it so that question 1 is just fill in your name so that I know who each quiz is in case you forget to log in with your email. I'll make sure to put a name slot as question 1.
Mr. Robinson?
Yep.
Since I wasn't here yesterday, I only have one do now, because like this was also just like us talking and digitally.
Uh-huh.
So like I'm just gonna turn in that one. Is that okay?
No, it's not. Good news, everyone. These lectures are up on YouTube, so if you missed a warm-up
yeah.
from the
Okay.
week, just go to the Geometry Honors playlist and check out the do now that you missed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry?
Do you want us to take a picture of the do nows?
Yeah, you scan and upload your do nows at the end of each week. But you know, we're not done with the do nows yet, so I shouldn't be getting those turned in. Let's go ahead and go over the 2 questions on the Google quiz, just so that we make sure we're all on the same page. So let's start with question number 1 first. I have some kind of triangle, and inside here there's a parallel line, and my bits and pieces are that I have 22, I have 8, I have x plus 12, and I have 5. Yeah, that was the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so what we're looking for is we are looking for the length of segment LP, which this is L, this is P. Be very careful, because if you just solved for x and then gave me your value for x, you're making a pretty big unforced error. It's important to always answer the question which is being asked. Don't just do the math. So who would like to offer me a proportion?
Can you do 30 over x plus 17 equals 20?
Oh, so you're saying this total length is 30
that's right.
divided by this total length, which is x plus 17. Okay, I like that. Is going to be equal to
22.
Yep, this short length of the
over
triangle
x
on top, 22 divided by
x plus 12.
x plus 12. Great, and now we can hit this guy with some cross multiplication. So this is going to give us 30x plus, what's 30 times 12?
360.
Plus 360 is going to be equal to 22x times
Plus 374.
Yeah.
And then I'll subtract 22x from each side. That gives me 8x over here on the left. I'll subtract 360 from each side. And so that gives me
14.
14 on the right. And so I solve for x, and x is equal to
14 over 8, or 1 3/4.
Yeah.
I did this a completely different way, but I somehow got
Yeah,
it.
me too.
Yeah, I did it a different way.
That's math. If you do it a different way and you get the same answer, then the way that you set it up is correct. There are several correct proportions that you could do. This is one of probably 8 proportions that you could set up. That would all give the same answer back. So as long as you got this, you're doing the right thing. So this is going to be equal to 7 over 4. Yeah.
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 And so got to keep in mind, the question wasn't just, hey, what is x? What was the question?
What's
It was,
LP?
What
what's
is
LP?
the measure of LP?
What is the total measure of LP? So LP's total measure has to be equal to 7 over 4 plus 12. And if you took this and simplified it into a fraction, great. Let's go ahead and do that together. This will be equal to 7 over 4 plus, what's 12 times 4?
48.
48 over 4.
48 over 4. And then 7 plus 48 is 55. So the answer to what is the length LP, that's equal to 55 over 4.
Oh,
I put
got
I put
got a
13.
really
Oh,
I
after
put yeah. I put
If you-
13 3/4.
If
It's
you
the
give the
same
answer as a
thing.
mixed number, that's fine.
Yeah, it said I was wrong.
I got a
I heard.
really different answer.
No matter
How
what,
did
it's
you
going to
get
say that you're
40?
wrong because I didn't give it an answer key. So that's one that I would just go through and grade by hand.
How did you
But-
add 12
Wait,
and
that's graded?
48?
Mr. Robinson, if I put it as a decimal, is it going to be counted wrong?
I never want decimals. I always want things in exact form, and that's even more important now.
Wait, that Google form was graded?
No.
Okay.
Wait,
It was a
so
practice.
how did you get 48 from adding 12?
12 times 4.
12 times 4 over 4 is 48 over 4. 12 and 48 over 4 are the same thing, but by giving it a denominator of 4, it makes it so that we can add it with 7 over 4.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Mr. Robinson, for the PDF, like free response questions, we will be able to just write it straight on the computer.
I'm going to ask you to do the work on a separate piece of paper, and then when you're done, upload that separate piece of paper.
Who's like
Oh, is that for the
chewing
quiz
into their
too?
mic?
What was the question?
My question?
Did that answer your question?
Yes, so the answer will be on a separate sheet of paper.
Yeah, so once the quiz goes live, and it'll go live at class time, I expect you to do the work on a separate sheet of paper, and then at the end, when you're all done, upload that. There will be a spot for uploading tests and quizzes. Just upload that separate work, and then I'll be grading that for your quiz grade.
So they're all just free response questions.
It's going to be half multiple choice, and that first half is going to be posted as a Google form. The second half is free response. That's going to be on a PDF.
Okay.
But for both parts, when you are done with them, I expect you to upload the work on Google Classroom.
Mr. Robinson, did you want to unmute me? Because it said like the host wants to unmute you.
What?
Did you want to unmute me? Because like the host, it was like the host wants to unmute you.
I mute everybody periodically, especially if somebody's like chewing on their microphone. And look, amazing, everybody's muted again. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over that second question, which is even more straightforward than the first one. And so we have that alien. And, you know, I can guarantee one of these shadow type questions just because of how common they are. The alien has a height of 5, casts a shadow of 8, and nearby there is a tree casting a shadow of 32, and we want to know how tall that tree is in actuality. And so can somebody offer me a proportion?
You do 5 over 8 equals x over 32.
Excellent. And then from here, we just hit it with a quick cross multiplication. And so this is going to be, even better, let's just multiply both sides by 32. By 32, 32 and 32 cancel on the right. What's 32 divided by 8?
4.
So this is just 4 times 5, and that's how we can quickly get that the correct
4.
answer is 20 feet. So for that one, it was a multiple choice, and I believe once you punch it in and hit enter, it'll instantly grade it for you, right?
Yeah.
So for those multiple choice questions, as soon as you hit submit, you'll know what your score is on that part, and then I'll
Okay.
have to grade the free response part by hand and get back to you.
Okay.
Is that okay? I know it's like a weird thing to try and adjust to, which is why I wanted to make sure that we all knew, I just wanted to make sure that we all knew what the test was going to look like before we did it on Monday, so that I didn't have a bunch of questions about how the test was going to be, you know, while we're trying to take it.
Mr. Robinson, on Monday, if we submit the test late, will that be point deductions?
Yes, you will lose 1 point per minute.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you know, like I expect you to be very timely with your upload, and I am actually going to build in a buffer time of about 10 minutes that gives you a chance to upload. But like I said, I expect you to upload it within the given time period, because people taking additional time could be due to cheating, in my opinion. So yeah, if you are late, you will lose 1 point per minute that you go over the cutoff time.
So there are no excused.
No.
Okay.
No.
So do we have like one class period, like an hour?
Yes, and it's the time starts when the Zoom meeting starts. The time ends when the Zoom meeting ends. Yeah.
Oh, we'll be on Zoom while we're doing it?
Yep, I said that at the top also. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that you can ask me questions if you have them while you take the quiz.
Mr. Robinson, are there going to be separate links to the free writing and multiple choice for the quiz?
No, I'm going to do the same thing I did in Google Classroom, where I made one announcement that had the file to the test PDF and also the link to the Google Classroom part of the quiz. Both of those will go up simultaneously.
Okay.
Good questions all around. And so let me go ahead and list out explicitly for y'all what skills it is that you want to have for Monday's quiz. What is on Monday's quiz? So we've covered 4 sections so far. And so here are the skills that you want to be able to do on Monday's quiz. Section 1 was just about ratios and proportions in general. So for this part, you want to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions. You also want to be able to cross multiply 2 proportions in order to solve for unknown values. And there's one other finicky thing that we did. We talked about the geometric mean of 2 numbers. And this is not the mean in the normal sense, just as a reminder, because this was a thing that we talked about before we went into emergency mode, was that the geometric mean, x, is the number that satisfies the following relationship for a and b. X over b, oop, no, don't write that. X over b is equal to a over x. And this would give us a case where x is the geometric mean of a and b. And this breaks down into the equation for us. X is equal to the square root of a, b. So normally, if you take the mean of some numbers, that's talking about, well, I'm going to take the numbers, I'm going to add them up, and I'm going to divide by the number of numbers. So when I figure out, well, what is the average score on the last quiz, I add up all of your guys' grades, and then I divide them by 16. In this case, if I wanted the geometric mean of 2 numbers, I'm not going to add them up and divide. Instead, I'm going to multiply them together, and then I'm going to take their square root. This is going to find a number in between a and b, but unlike the normal mean, which is going to find the number that is exactly halfway in between these other 2 numbers, the geometric mean tends to give more weight to the larger number. It tends to pull the mean towards it. This is a thing we talked about in section 1, and after the mid-chapter quiz, we're going to talk about similar triangles. We're going to talk about the geometric mean again as it applies to similar triangles. Past this, we're going to talk about similar polygons. And when it comes to talking about similar polygons, there's not too much math to do here that isn't just doing proportions. But when it comes to similar polygons, there are 3 pieces of information that we need to keep in mind. Naming similar polygons is important in how you do it because, just like with talking about congruence, the order of the letters that you write is highly suggestive of the polygons themselves. So if I had two similar polygons, then I'm just going to do triangles because it's like the least number of sides I can draw. Let's go ahead and say that triangle ABC is similar to triangle FED. That's an ugly E, sorry about that. And so what can we tell just based on the way that this is named?
That it's wrong because you have to put them in the same order.
Oh no, I'm telling you this is right. So what does this tell us? What angles are congruent?
Angle A is congruent to angle F. And
Angle A is congruent to angle F because they both come first, and then?
angle B is congruent to angle E, and angle C is congruent to angle D.
Correct. So the order in which the letters are laid out is suggestive of which of these angles are congruent to each other, and our similar polygons is a two-condition thing. Condition one, the angles all have to be congruent. So for this to hold, this must mean that angle A is equal to angle F, angle B is equal to angle E, and angle C is equal to angle D. And the second condition of similarity is what? What do we have to be able to say about the side lengths?
They're proportional.
By a ratio.
They are proportional by a common ratio, a ratio that we call the scale factor. So if I take the sides the way that they're lined up according to these statements, right? Again, we use the order of the letters to guide us. That is to say, AB divided by FE must give us back the exact same ratio as BC divided by ED, must give us back the exact same ratio as AC divided by FD, and each one of these ratios could be called the scale factor. Is that second part okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And then up next, similar triangles. Here's what you want to know about similar triangles. Similar triangles don't need us to test these two conditions. Triangles are special because they are the simplest of all of the polygons, and so we can establish similarity of triangles with even less data than this. When it comes to showing that two triangles are similar, you actually just need the angles. If you have two triangles and those two triangles have two congruent angles, that is enough to know that those triangles are similar, and you can get right into your proportionality right away. That's because if two of the angles are congruent, the third one is by the third angle theorem. So having two angles is the same as having three. And there were two other sets of conditions that would tell us that the triangles are similar. What are those other two sets?
SSS? Is that one?
SSS. So if I gave you two sets of sides and all of the sides return the same ratio, that tells us that the triangles are similar, which also tells us that the angles are equal. So if I had a 3, 4, 5, which is a right triangle, and I had a 60, 80, 100, this is enough to know that these two triangles are similar because what's our scale factor here that I'm using?
20.
This is a scale factor of 20 to 1. This would also be enough to tell us that, oh, hey, I can assume that these angles are congruent to each other. And then what's that third set of information that we can use to achieve proportionality?
Side angle side.
If you have similar sides with an equal included angle in the middle, again, because of the special properties that triangles have built into the fact that they are the most simple of all polygons, having two triangles with SAS information is enough to, again, establish that those triangles are similar. So if this angle and this angle are congruent, and this side and this side share the same scale factor, so let's say it's 5 to 10, and this bottom length here is 6 to 12, what's our scale factor here?
2.
2. And because this side is 2 to 1, this side is 2 to 1, and that angle in the middle is congruent, this is also enough to establish similarity of two triangles. Is that okay?
Nope.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then for the final set, for the last little bit, parallel lines will also produce proportionality. proportional parts. And these are going to be the last few questions on the quiz on Monday. And that is to say that if I have parallel lines and some kind of setup, parallel, 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 and we know that they're parallel because they all have mid-segment lines, and these are cut by some set of transversals that will give us some different lengths in here, that these lengths must be proportional to each other. So if this is length A, B, C, D, right?
Yep.
Here in the gaps between these parallel lines, I could make the following proportions. I could say, well, A divided by B must be equal to what equal proportion?
C divided by D.
C divided by D. To set up these proportions, we're looking at the space in between common transversals. That's basically everything you need to know on Monday's quiz. The only other thing that I'm going to like key all into is that sometimes we might end up setting up a proportionality which produces a quadratic. If you take something like x times x plus 1 or something like x minus 2 times x plus 3, what is the rule for solving quadratics?
You have to
0.
Set it equal to 0 and then
Set it equal to 0. Find a factor that adds up to the C but multiplies to the B.
very, very specific, but yes, we want to try and set it equal to 0, and we want to try and make it factor, and simply because this is geometry and not the real world, you will find that if I intentionally build a quadratic into a question, it is made to factor out just because I don't want y'all wasting your time doing the quadratic equation from scratch. Are there any
Robin,
questions?
oh,
Yes.
can you scroll up a little? I mean, in your page,
Yeah, of course.
because I didn't really see the top.
Yep, and of course, all of these go back to YouTube after I edit them. So if you ever miss a note or whatever, just, you know, check it out on the YouTube channel.
Did you post your link
Okay, I
on
got it.
Classroom?
Yeah.
Uh, what
the
link?
channel.
Yeah,
I
I did.
already subscribed. Come on.
Oh,
Yeah, if you go to, yeah, please mash like and subscribe. If I make ad dollars, I'm going to spend them on an end of the year classroom party. But if you go to
yeah.
Google Classroom, go to Geometry Honors, scroll down, and you'll see from March 17th, there's just a raw YouTube link. If you click that, that'll take you to my 4 YouTube channel pages. And I guess if you felt insane, you could also like check out the other videos that I'm doing for my other classes. Also, after we get some 8-Bit Club meetings going, I'm going to back some of those up and also upload those to another playlist just called 8-Bit Club.
Is there any extra credit on this test or no?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a good question. I will put a bonus question on there. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put a bonus question on there. I have a good one. It's going to be about the project.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any questions out there about what is on Monday's quiz or what Monday's quiz is going to look like?
Whoa.
No.
No? Okay. Well, then you should know that you have the rest of this hour to work on that sample quiz that I posted, to work on those questions. Those are probably a good look at what Monday's quiz will be like. Though you should know the ones that go on Monday's PDF will not be multiple choice. Those will be the free response parts. And we'll just work from now until 12:30. And then after that, y'all are free to go and have a nice weekend. Or if you finish up that whole review assignment and get it uploaded, you are, of course, free to head out to lunch just a little bit early after you do that, and also upload your classwork for the week.
Oh, Mr. Robinson, I finished. Where can I post it?
Post what?
The chapter review.
Oh yeah, so there's a new homework assignment that I posted right after I, while y'all were doing the Google form quiz.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That just says Chapter 7 Midchapter Review. Once you're done, you can upload it there, and like I said, head out, have a nice weekend, have a nice lunch.
Are the only ways to do it to like either do it on a separate paper or print it?
Are you suggesting some third way?
Cause like I could do it like I have a touch screen, so I could just like write on it.
If you are comfortable using a touch screen to do your work, you may absolutely do that. I am just an old man and I prefer working with paper, which you can tell based on the way that I've chosen to do my at-home Zoom lectures, you know?
Okay.
Like, I'm old school. I like having the paper. I like doing it this way. If I had a nice tablet or whatever, I would do it there, but I just don't have a tablet that's nicer than the view that this camera gives.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, if you want to do it all digital, totally fine. Just export it as a PDF and then upload that PDF in the same place where you would turn in your scan like normal.
Okay.
Cool. And like I said, this time is yours. If y'all have any questions on that sample quiz, just holler at me and we'll do the questions together. But this time is yours to work or just like chat. How's it going out there?
Good.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Anybody take my advice from yesterday and start a garden or consider starting a garden?
I've considered.
I already have a garden.
Oh yeah, what are you growing?
We're growing. I took your advice. We planted some peas. So.
Oh, tight. And how did you put the peas straight into the ground or?
No, we started with like a little pot indoor.
Tight. Yeah. So that's a good way to do it. And peas are also a really good plant to start by the paper towel method.
Yeah.
If you Google that up, it'll show you how to do it. I've gotten my best results with peas and beans by starting them in wet paper towels.
I just have a chili plant, so I'm just focusing on that thing so it doesn't die.
Yeah, for sure. Keep it alive, man. The other day I went on my run and I dropped by Whole Foods on the way home, and I was so glad that they had tomato plants. They were almost sold out, but I was able to add a new tomato plant to my garden since those pictures that I showed y'all the other day. If y'all are doing gardening at home, take a picture and email it to me because I want to get together a montage of everybody's like home gardens because I think that that's probably a good thing that you can do to help out just a little bit in these trying times. Because if the grocery stores are a disaster, we might as well be producing as much of our own food at home as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, every little bit helps. And yeah, after I get a bunch of those pictures together, because some of the seniors have already sent me some pictures of their home gardening projects, I'll put them all together and I'll make one big social media post thing about it. Maybe I'll put a video on YouTube.
This isn't new, but like I have an avocado tree.
Dope. Yeah, avocado trees are tight. They produce really well. I showed you yesterday I have an avocado tree too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this tall, but you know, it'll make avocados someday. Interesting fact about avocado trees, for them to have fruit, you have to graft on a branch from another tree of the opposite gender. So in order to have a good, does your avocado tree make avocados?
Yeah, it's like giant.
Yeah, so that means that the tree itself is female, but so that it pollinates itself at some point before it was planted in the ground, somebody took a branch from a male avocado tree and grafted it on there so that it's capable of pollinating its own fruit.
I mean, there's two trees. Maybe one's male.
That is also possible. You either have to have one branch from a male tree grafted onto the female tree, or you have to have a male tree and a female tree. But if you have one of each, the male tree doesn't produce fruit. Only the female tree does.
Yeah.
Do they both produce fruit?
No, only one.
Okay, yeah. So you have a male and a female tree grown side by side.
Mr. Robinson, for number 3 on the
Yes.
chapter review, is it a Pythagorean triple or no?
Question 3. The three sides of a triangle are ratios of 2 to 4 to 5. If the shortest side of the triangle is 4 meters long, find the perimeter. So if it is a Pythagorean triple, then the ratio itself would fulfill the Pythagorean theorem, and I don't believe it does, just because
Okay.
they would be, is that showing? Okay, yeah, 2 squared plus 4 squared, and we would be comparing that to 5 squared, and it's not equal. So it would be some kind of acute triangle.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great.
This is due Sunday, right?
Yeah, this is due Sunday. It's just due the night before the quiz, but I think most of y'all, as long as you're working on it now and not just like on Netflix or losing at Call of Duty, you should be able to get it done and turned in by the end of this period. This is about how long I hope the quiz to be. The quiz that I prepared for y'all for realsies on Monday has 9 Google quiz questions that are multiple choice or short response, and then 10 free response on the PDF part.
Okay. Well, Mr.
Same
Robinson,
length,
is there like
yeah.
an answer sheet to this? Or
Oh yeah, the reason why I gave out the multiple choice is so that the answer key is easy for me to type up. I'm just going to type it up and then post it to the assignment in Google Classroom, probably today before I stop working. Oh, also, I don't even know why I would show y'all the calculator on the webcam. I have a way better way to do it. If y'all ever need a calculator tutorial, I actually have a calculator emulator that I use. Can y'all see that now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and can you see the mouse pointer?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when it comes to pre-cal, we do a lot of fancy stuff with these graphing calculators. So I really like that I have access to this because you can like use it to do all sorts of stuff that your regular calculators can't. So it can do all the like all the normal stuff that your calculators do, right? But the reason why we ask y'all to get graphing calculators when you move on to pre-cal is that there's some like really fancy graphs that are hard to generate or hard to deal with that these calculators can generate very easily. So here's a graph that we've been using a lot in AP Physics and in pre-cal to model different stuff. That is not a thing that your calculator can do.
How does it even work?
I mean, it's a tiny computer.
Oh.
But the weird thing about this being an emulator is it's actually a tiny computer inside of a tiny computer pretending to be a different tiny computer. Don't think too hard about it.
Oh.
But here's a function that we learned today in AP Physics that I think is pretty cool. Mostly because here's what it does. Heck. Oh, I'm sorry. The exponent is the wrong sign. Let me fix a thing. And then I'll just go ahead and delete this first one so that it doesn't show up. Oh! Oh, I meant to delete the whole thing so it doesn't show up. Yeah, so you see how because of those two functions that I multiplied together, we get a wave that gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as it goes to the right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that you could see more of the graph if you're interested. Of course, you don't have to be paying attention to this. You can absolutely just like work on your current assignment. So the reason why that very fancy function is interesting to us is that if I have some kind of oscillator like this mass and this spring, if I take it and I set it in motion, right, it's not going to be in motion forever. Eventually, friction is going to rob all of the energy from the system and it'll come to rest. So that weird set of equations that I fed into my calculator can be used to model how much time it'll take for this thing to stop after I've set it in motion. And a graphing calculator, oddly enough, is powerful enough to simulate that into the future as long as you know what equations to use and how to ask about them.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, this time is yours to work on the review assignment. And if you'd like me to do any of the questions, just holler. I'll be posting the answer key before I head out and go eat lunch.
Mr. Robinson, we were like wondering why our like one avocado tree were like it's like defective or something. And then that's probably why, because it's probably a male.
Yeah, that one's male. The one that produces fruit is female. But a lot of the times, let me pull it up just to show you what grafting is. When you have fruit trees, the most efficient way to like do it is to graft one male branch on there. So grafting is tricky, man. It's really hard to do it right. But people who work in orchards, it's like the main skill that must be mastered in order to operate an orchard. So I'm sharing my, ooh, that's not the one that I wanted. Hold on. That's one I wanted. So y'all see my like little Google image search?
Yeah.
So this one that I pulled up over here shows roughly how grafting is done. If you have a living tree and you have another tree which is close enough to it or the exact same tree, you can make a special cut in the side of the tree, insert the branch that you want to insert, and then you have to wrap it up real good so that the tree doesn't get an infection, because they can get infections from open wounds the same way that animals can. Usually you wrap it up with a lot of string and then also put wax over it. But a lot of the fruit trees that they sell at Home Depot, they've already had this done to them. It's a female tree with one male branch, because without the male part of the plant, it won't make fruit. It'll just make flowers that never become fruit.
So me and my dad and his friend, they made a tangerine and a lemon combined. So it's a tangerine that's sour like a lemon, but you can still eat it.
That is not usually the result of grafting. Usually that is the result of crossbreeding, which is where you have a male of one plant and a female of another plant, and they make a hybridized offspring. In fact, all citrus plants are hybrids. There's only 3 fundamental citrus in nature. Do you know what the 3 fundamental citrus are?
I don't.
Y'all want to take a guess? Which of the citruses exist in nature?
Lemon, orange.
No, lemons and oranges do not exist in nature. Good guesses, though.
Pineapple. Limes?
Lime is a fundamental citrus. Lime is one of
Yeah, I
the
was gonna say
fundamental
lime.
types of citrus, yeah.
What
Kumquat.
Nope, kumquats, tangerines, those are all crossbreeds.
I don't know.
Can't even think of more. I feel like I used to know this, but I completely forgot.
Wait, is it grapefruit? Because that's like
Grapefruit is also one of the fundamental
Ooh.
citruses.
Really?
All right.
Okay, and y'all are missing one more.
Grapefruit.
So we got lime, we got grapefruit. There's one more fundamental
Don't
citrus.
Google it. Don't Google it.
Yeah, don't Google it. That's cheating. That's a completely different kind of plant, sadly.
What's the one that has like yellow inside of it, but it's not a lemon?
Squash.
Pineapple. Pineapple.
Squash.
Pineapple may have citric acid in it, which is why it's sour, but it's not a citrus in the way that I'm talking about.
Watermelon.
Guava.
Not.
One sweet
Interestingly enough, no, not watermelon. And watermelons are
Mandarin?
actually very closely related to cucumbers. And if you grow them side by side in your garden and you harvest the seeds and grow them again next year, you can get a cucamelon, which is worthless. It's not sweet like a watermelon, and it's fibrous like a cucumber. So you think you're growing watermelons, and then you cut them open, and it's full of a whole bunch of gross cucumber parts.
Blood oranges.
Nope, also a crossbreed. Here is the third and final fundamental citrus.
Mandarins?
Pomelo.
No way.
Never heard of
Oh, that's the one I was
Isn't
trying to
pomelo
think
like the
of.
same as grapefruit? Basically, it's like they're similar.
No, they're
Never
not.
heard of
They're actually some of the most genetically distinct citruses that you can get out there. And literally all of the other citrus that you have, you got lime, you got grapefruit, and you have...
pomelo, but like they're similar.
They are similar, but genetically they're distinct. They evolved separately in nature. But all of the other citruses that we have available to us at grocery stores when they're available are crossbreeds of these. So if you take lime and grapefruit, you can get a lemon. If you take lime and grapefruit, but there's more grapefruit than lime, this is where you get oranges. Oranges and lemons, those two then crossbreeded together is how we get back to tangerines. But yeah, all of the stuff at the grocery store, it's all actually just crossbreeds of the same stuff again and again and again and again and again and again.
What does a pomelo make?
That's a good question. I'm not an expert. This is just like trivia that I picked up. Here's another cool thing that I wanted to share with y'all real quick. And this is not crossbreeding about plants. This is grafting about plants. There is a family of fruit called stone fruit. And stone fruit are all of the fruit that have a pit in the middle. So like plums, apricots, those are stone fruits. There is a professor who grafts 40 different types of stone fruit onto the same tree. And these trees, once they're done, they sell for a little bit over $3 million because of how difficult it is to make all of those grafts onto one tree and have all of them succeed. But yeah, this one tree can produce 40 different types of stone fruit.
Even like avocados, is that a stone fruit?
That is a good question. I don't believe it is, simply because most of the stone fruit are like tart and sour. It has a pit, but I don't think that makes it a stone fruit. All interesting questions.
Mr. Robinson, is number 3 on the homework B?
Is number 3 on the homework B?
Yes.
Let's do it together. So number 3 on the review assignment says that, wait, is the webcam on?
Yeah.
Okay. Says that the ratio of the sides of a triangle are 2 to 4 to 5, and that the short side, the one that corresponds with this, the short side, is 4 meters. So if the piece that is associated with 2 is 4 meters long, what ratio is being used to go from these numbers to the side lengths of the triangle?
It can either be times 2 or the square root, right?
It can't be the square root. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that will give you 2 from 4, but when we are talking about proportions, we are always talking about multiplication or division. So it is a ratio of 2 to 1. So that means that these other 2 sides have to be 8 and 10. And so when we take these and we add them to get the perimeter, yep, the answer is B. The grand total is 22 meters.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Any questions out there? Those of y'all working on the assignment?
Nope.
Cool.
Wait, Mr. Robinson, when will you post the review answers?
Later today.
Okay.
Cool. Looks like I got 3 of the review assignments turned in. And also make sure that you turn in your classworks for the week where it says class week 1, quarter 4 on Google Classroom. Just because, you know, we used to turn those in person, but we can't do that anymore.
Mr. Robinson?
Yep.
For number 9, I don't get the difference between each multiple choice answer.
Sorry, which
For
one?
Number 9. I don't get the differences. They're just rearranged. So like I don't get what the difference is between each of them.
Hold on. Number 9?
Yeah.
Oh, yo, dog, it's because the order of the letters is everything. The order of the letters tells you which angles are congruent to which angles. So notice that for all of them, it starts off with L, M, N, right? What is the measurement of angle L?
90 degrees.
90 degrees. So you know that for the similar triangle that you are then going to compare it to, what should that first angle be?
90 degrees.
It better also be 90 degrees. Otherwise, it's a nonsense comparison. So that first one, option A, is instantly out because M doesn't make a
Yeah.
90-degree angle.
Yeah.
Option B is still on the table because angle Q is
Q.
a 90-degree angle. Option C is also on the table because angle Q could make a 90-degree angle depending on how you draw it out. And option D is out because angle P does not make a 90-degree angle. So it's either B or C, and then you figure out which one based on the ratio of the sides.
Okay, thank you.
It's a really good question.
Mr. Robinson, for number 5 on the first page, is it B, the answer?
Number 5 on the first page?
Yeah.
What was your guess at the answer?
B.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Third angle theorem gives us angle F. Angle F has to be 59 degrees. And if you look at the order in which the letters are written, C and F both come last. And that's what tells us that those two are corresponding angles. So they have to be congruent.
Oh, okay. And for
Good.
number 6, how do you do it? I don't get it.
We know which two quadrilaterals are similar, which allows us to know which sides correspond. We're being given side length JK is 15, LM is 10, XY is 6, and WX is 9. So based on the order in which the letters are written, that tells us which of the sides correspond. So which two sides can we use to write a ratio? What are the first two letters of the first quadrilateral?
JK.
What are the first two letters of the second quadrilateral?
WX.
So that tells us that one of our valid proportions that we can write, and this is question number 6, one of our valid proportions that we can write is going to be 15/9. And we're solving for KL, right, which is a feature of the bigger of the two quadrilaterals. So I'll put my unknown variable on top. And again, KL is the middle two letters of the first quadrilateral. So what does that have to correspond to in the second quadrilateral?
I'm not sure.
Middle two letters.
Middle 2. XY.
So that means that XY is 6. That'll give us our other side that it corresponds with. And then solving out this proportion through cross multiplication will give you the answer.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep. The order of the letters is key.
Mr. Robinson, for number 12 on the second page, is the answer F?
$12 on the second page, we're looking for the length of CE. And so for 12 on the second page, we're looking for the length CE. So CE, I'm going to set my unknown variable as being X divided by 35. If we set up that proportion for the other side, it would be 20 divided by 28, and then we cross multiply. So it's 20 divided by 28, then times 35. So the answer should be F, 25. Is that what you got?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Robinson, I finished it and I turned it in. Can I leave?
Yep. Have a nice weekend and be sure to get ready for Monday's quiz.
Okay. Thank you.
I turned it in too.
Yeah. Like always, once you've gotten it submitted and uploaded, then you can head out and work on whatever other take-home work y'all have to deal with right now. It's one of the nice things about learning from home. Anyway, this is the end of regular class time. If you have any questions over the weekend as y'all prepare for the Monday's mid-chapter quiz, let me know, and I will get back to you as soon as I can, which will probably be pretty quick considering all I have to do these days is, live in a world of my computers. Y'all take it easy. Have a nice weekend, and I'll see you Monday for that quiz.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, see you.
Peace,
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.